Hello, everybody. Welcome on into OneSoccer today. Andy Petrillo, Gareth Wheeler, Oliver Platt with you. We have ourselves what we call a heavy hitter show. We're talking a little bit Kylian Mbappe. We're talking Arjen Robben, Gold Cup, Canadian Premier League, and we're beginning with one of the biggest hitters of all in Lionel Messi. This is the divorce I think will never happen between Messi and Barcelona, gentlemen. It turns out after Copa America, everything is rainbows and unicorns. Messi staying in Barcelona, but it also sounds like he's chopping that salary in half. And I guess, Ollie, are you surprised that Lionel Messi took a massive pay cut in order to stay with Barcelona, a team he couldn't wait to leave last year?
Yeah, I'm not really surprised. I don't know if he ever really wanted to leave. In terms of the pay cut side of things, he's set for life, so I don't think he really has to worry about that on the back of his last contract. But for me, it always felt like Messi was that it was more of a threat to leave, to try and kick the club into gear, right? To try and get Bartomeu out of the door, which he succeeded in doing with last year's or earlier this year, the presidential election, and to try and get the club back on the right track again. And when I looked at, particularly when I was watching the Euros over the past month, I kind of feel like Barcelona's not in a bad place right now. You look at that Spain team, you look at the way Pedri played, Sergio Busquets I thought was great. Eric Garcia looked like he could be a first-team player straight away at centre-back. The two best players on the Dutch team for me, Frenkie de Jong and Memphis Depay, they're both Barcelona players. Ansu Fati's coming back, another young superstar in the making. So I look at Barcelona right now and I don't think they're in a terrible place on the field, even if the off-the-field financial stuff is going to continue to be an issue for some time.
Language is a funny thing, isn't it? Lionel Messi taking a pay cut. Last time I checked, Andy, the player was out of contract. He's taken what was offered to him. And maybe this could suggest that this was maybe the best offer available. It was easy for Messi to chat and threaten when, you know, we're kind of pre-pandemic or at a time during the pandemic where you really thought things were going to come back. Now we take a look at Barcelona's books. We take a look at the books of sides across European football. Who could afford Lionel Messi? Was it worth the risk for the player to move? So he's not getting half the salary. He's got a new contract, which is going to pay him handsomely, by the way, for 5 years to a 39-year-old player. Which other club in their right mind would give a 34-year-old player a 5-year contract worth that kind of money and say, there you go? It's not how things work. It goes year over year. So this stinks a little bit, kind of like Barcelona's situation right now, trying to fit all these players under a budget, under a payroll, which seems absolutely impossible right now. So good luck. It's all smoke and mirrors for me, and this is just the latest case.
Well, you're right. His contract was up June 30th. And to your point, La Liga, as we know, Barcelona was working with 600 million euro. That's been reduced to just under 350 million. And La Liga president has said it could be further reduced because of the pandemic. So they needed to cut his salary just to even make it fit, especially in the financial fair play rules. Let's move on over now to Paris Saint-Germain. Kylian Mbappe, his contract as of January 1st, 2022 will be up. And according to L'Equipe, he has said not going to renew with PSG. But gentlemen, PSG has been very, very busy. One of the greatest goalkeepers ever has now joined them in Gianluigi Donnarumma. He signed a 5-year deal with PSG. Another great defender, as we know, Sergio Ramos, has also signed with PSG. And then they also brought back so Achraf Hakimi from Inter Milan. Here's the thing. Do you think, Gareth, that will change the mind of Kylian Mbappe to see all these players and have him actually re-up with PSG?
And it doesn't stop there. They bring in Wijnaldum from Liverpool. There's rumors linking PSG to Paul Pogba right now. It's like the rich get richer, and financial fair play simply doesn't matter when you're owned by a nation state. It's outrageous. Look, they can throw all the money at the world to whatever players they want to bring in. They can do the same to Kylian Mbappe. It's very hard to resist the temptation of a club like Real Madrid. We've been there before. Cristiano Ronaldo. Go even the players that have moved within La Liga, you know, whether it be a Luis Figo, what about Zinedine Zidane making a move? Like, players move from big clubs and go to the bigger club, and Real Madrid is one of those clubs. And if Mbappe wants that challenge, he wants to test himself at Real Madrid, which I think you'd say from a competitive perspective domestically, playing club football, that's a bigger challenge playing in Spain than it is for France, then nothing's going to stop that player. So although this is nice, It proves to me, Andy, more so that this team will do whatever it takes to go on and win a Champions League while they have Kylian Mbappe, and just hope that they can keep the player, or they'll just go and buy someone else. That's the way they do business.
Yeah, I think when you look at PSG on paper right now, it's hard not to say they're not the best team in Europe going into the start of the new season. Maybe that changes if Man City goes out and gets Harry Kane or someone like that. But right now, like they already had Marquinhos, who for me is one of the best central defenders in the world. They add Ramos to that. Wijnaldum's the kind of player who, you just plug in any team and he'll adapt and he'll be a useful player for you. Donnarumma's just one player of the tournament at the Euros. Hakimi's one of the better wingbacks or fullbacks in the world. So it's an unbelievably strong side when you add that to Neymar and Mbappe and all the rest of it. But it's what we all said. So what PSG can't buy and what they can't spend over is the fact that they do not play in a league that is seen in the same way as the Premier League or La Liga. And that's something they can't change. So if Mbappe has that dream of wearing a Real Madrid jersey, or if he thinks it's important to him to be in a more competitive league where the league title isn't almost a guarantee every single year, there's not really a lot PSG are going to be able to do about that.
But players beware. If you do go to Real Madrid, there is a very good chance President Florentino Perez might say something about you that will come out years later.
Yeah.
So there's some leaked audio, which, by the way, I have some questions about where this audio came from. Are his phones tapped? That is also not a good thing. But there's audio from 2006 and 2012 where he's commenting on players, calling Cristiano Ronaldo an imbecile, Jose Mourinho abnormal. Those were from 2012. Then from 2006, Raul Iker Casillas saying that they were frauds and, kind of overrated. Today, even more audio leaked. Perez saying that he wants to take down the media. I mean, things are just getting really nasty here. He believes it's because he's backing the European Super League. He thinks that this was done in spite. And he will seek some legal action. But I don't know, Ollie. What do you think the fallout's going to be of this? Because, again, like I said, I have questions about where it came from. And then how do you think players are going to react seeing, a president of a team, a really big team, saying these types of things?
Yeah, I don't know if there will be much fallout unless more stuff comes out and it gets worse for him. And that's probably what I'd be worried about if I was Florentino Perez, because like the Raul and Casillas stuff, that was stuff that he said in 2006. The Ronaldo Mourinho stuff was 6 years later in 2012. So clearly someone's been, someone's got quite a collection here of Florentino Perez sound bites and who knows what else there could be. So that is the part I'd be worried about. But Perez saying that like Casillas and Raul are frauds, like it's ridiculous, obviously, it's idiotic. But it's not something that is really, I think, going to cause a ton of fallout. He's just a guy who's sounding off and doesn't know what he's talking about, right? So as long as he continues to make money for Real Madrid, I don't think that has much bearing on anything. It's just him being a bit of a clown.
And that's not him saying this publicly. We need to be very careful here, Ollie, because, look, in the heat of battle, when in business, people say things about one another that they don't really mean, right? And I find this a very disturbing trend where privacy, secrecy, things that are said behind closed doors are now regularly being made public through technology, or through spite or blackmail, whatever way you look at it. But this is very dangerous. I don't think it's anything to dismiss or take lightly, but the motives behind why this is revealed now, 15 years later, 10 years later, it just stinks to me. So it's hard to have sympathy for one of the orchestrators of the European Super League. But here in this case, I am a little bit sympathetic because this is just a revenge tactic to drag his name through the mud even further.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all know certain things are said. Nothing here was real derogatory. It was just kind of, you don't want to hear it. But yeah, I have questions about who's recording this stuff. I feel like that is the bigger question. Let's go to some happier news here. Arjen Robben, the famed Dutchman who represented his country on the world stage, also won a ton of titles. He won a title in every country he played in, most famously, obviously, with Bayern Munich. And now Arjen Robben, for the second time, is announcing his retirement. He did so in the summer of 2019, came out. Back in 2020, he's been hindered by injuries, gentlemen. So once again, he says, this is it. This is final for sure now. I am retiring. So I will ask you this, Gareth. I'll begin with you. When you think of Robben, he will be remembered for...
A couple things. 2013, the game-winning goal in the Champions League final. That will always etch you and your name in the memories of the biggest club competition there is. I was at the 2010 World Cup final in Johannesburg, and he missed basically a breakaway against Iker Casillas. I'll remember that because he was so good over that tournament. But it's kind of the big picture stuff I'll remember more. Him playing almost like this inverted winger down the right-hand side on his left foot, it's kind of changed the game. That was very rare for a player to be so dominant, playing on your off foot, on your offside, and being that effective. I'll also remember his diving. He was one of the worst divers in the game out there. He'd always go down so soft. And finally, I believe in the latter stage of his career, this might have been a year or two ago, I know that his representatives were making calls to Toronto FC and teams over here in Major League Soccer trying to get him that final contract. Instead, he went back to play in the Netherlands and was riding his bike to work every day. So a great player, a great diver, a great showman. He will be missed.
Yeah, I think it's his style of play more than any specific moment that I'll remember. Like any player now who is left-footed, plays on the right wing, and cuts inside onto that left foot, and it seems like it's so predictable, but you just can't stop it anyway. Like that is doing a Robben, right? That's always going to be known and associated with Arjen Robben whenever we talk about players in the future. Is just that unbelievable ability to do what everyone is expecting you to do, but it still works. I don't know how exactly you explain it. But he always managed to get the better defenders in that way. The Bustos, exactly.
Bustos can thank Robben, right? Yeah.
For sure.
Well, enjoy your retirement, Arjen Robben. Euros, let's go back to that quickly. ESPN saw a 25% increase in viewership, in particular that final game where Italy defeated England in penalty kicks. They were averaging 9.4 million. And then you look at the first 3 to 4 games of the NBA Finals, they're averaging 8.9. Ollie, surprised to see soccer getting those big numbers?
Not really. I guess it's a little bit of a surprise just because of the popularity, obviously, of basketball compared to soccer traditionally. But I think, those dynamics are shifting, and we know that a lot of young people are tuning into soccer nowadays. I also just think you've got to recognize the reality of this year, which is that it was a fantastic Euros, one of the best Euros we've ever watched, with a really enticing final, Italy against England. And it's not a particularly great NBA finals, right? Like, I don't think this is one Phoenix-Milwaukee that's going to go down in history as particularly memorable or a particularly historic one as far as the NBA is concerned. So I think it's a bit circumstantial, but it does show the gains that soccer is starting to make in North America.
Well, the schedule has something to do with the NBA. Like these 3 days between every game, it's too much. I will say this, ratings, they're kind of like a unicorn. They're based upon something real, but they're fake.
Yeah.
Like, no one knows what the number is. Does anyone actually know how your ratings are taken? Does anyone actually know? Like, I always laugh when the common fan is obsessed with ratings. Well, do you know how they work? The answer is no. No one does.
No.
It's a unicorn.
No.
So I'll move on, and I won't really comment on it because I don't think it's based on reality.
We're in the industry. I don't know. There's the average, there's the peak, there's the overall. Like, I don't get it.